Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am so glad to have all of you here in the session. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to share the PfMP journey and success story of our PfMP mentee, Waqas Khalid. He is going to share that in his own words when we are going to get started with that. But before that, let me quickly introduce you to my company and myself. So I am representing my company, Ontime Training and Consultancy Services over here. And On-time training is a professional training and consultancy setup in which we help individuals and groups and organizations regarding their project program and portfolio management career. We are professional trainers of PMI certifications, mainly like PfMP, PGMP, PMP, ACP, RMP, PPA, etc. And there are many others as well. And we are also into consultancy setup in which we help individuals in progressing their project and program management career. And we also help organizations in their project and program management, like implementing PMOs and establishing their project and program management practices. So this is like very briefly what we do. And the agenda of this session is to talk to Waqas and understand how he traveled this whole journey from the start till the end, and how he cope up with that, and what was his experience, especially when he was very new to PMI, when he came to me for PfMP, and he had never been to PMP or PJMP or ACP or any other certification before. So which is a very usual question by many candidates who come to us. So Waqas, we formally welcomed you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tooba. Thank you so much. And yeah, uh, I have a lot of things to say. And
But
it
first
looks
you
like
introduce yourself. Introduce yourself,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't do that. Yeah, you need
Thank
to.
you so much. Thank you so much. So my name is Waqas Khalid. And if somebody wants to know more about me, I would welcome you to go to my LinkedIn profile. I've had a lot of experience in the fertilizer, the power, and energy sectors. I also did a little bit of a stint in food, just for a little bit. And over that time, I spent around 20 years in the industry. During this time, I had also decided to open up a couple of my companies. One of them is Steed, which is right now working in the field of, yeah, thank you, Tuba. Right now, Steed is working in the field of uh, developing power in Nigeria. And then we have a number of other companies which have completely different products. All of them are working simultaneously. All of them have very different ways in which they should be operating. For example, we've got different geographic zones. We've got one in Nigeria, we've got one in the UK, we've got one in Pakistan. We have to deal with multiple different legislations as far as different working styles. And then we also have to figure out how to make sense of all of this when it's happening simultaneously. When uh, when I started looking at PfMP, it was primarily to look for a template because I wanted to figure out how do you make sense of this madness. This is how it all began. And I realized that over the course of time, this is what I was already doing. It was just that I wasn't that organized. So when we started having this conversation, it became a very detailed and very deeper conversation very quickly, because there was nothing that you would say is unfamiliar. It's just that unless you do it in a sequence or in the right way, you will definitely get lost. So the first question should be that I was sent was, why did I opt for PfMP? I mean, fine, I wanted to learn how to do the portfolio properly, but then why did I have to subject myself to the grueling exercise of having to read the standard and then do the training and then, of course, prepare for the exam? That should be a question. And the correct answer for that is that the only way to learn how to do something properly is by doing it. So the moment I started studying this with Tooba, that is the moment I had already started applying this. And what that helped me to do was, after a very, very long time, I had all of these different ideas aligned to one strategy, my strategy. And that allowed me to then allocate the right resources in the right way without getting overwhelmed very, very quickly.
So, Waqas,
Initially,
I'm so sorry to cut you off. If I ask you one question over here, you are into many initiatives of yours as well. You are like you are an entrepreneur and you do a lot of your own initiatives as well.
yep.
So, when you did PfMP or when you were into PfMP, how relatable you found that stuff in the PfMP to what you were doing at that time, or
Okay.
you are still doing?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Allow me to. Okay. Let me just organize my thoughts just a little bit. So what happens when you're doing PfMP is, let's just talk about the requirements before we talk about what happens while you're doing it. The only way you can appear for a PfMP exam is you've already been managing a portfolio for the past 4 years. Yes. The point was,
It's okay. Yeah. Please
okay.
continue.
So the point was, since I was already managing all of these things, not in an organized way, in a haphazard way. So there were a lot of tears, a lot of blood, which actually went into all of this. And when I realized that there was an easier and more organized way of starting to do this, like a template. I mean, let me just give an example. By a show of hands, how many over here are familiar with Lean Six Sigma or Black Belt? Six Sigma as a whole. Can I see a couple of hands if you're familiar with it?
Okay, Ahmed
I've
is
got one.
familiar.
I've got one.
I think only Ahmed is
Okay. Well, that's fine. Okay, we've got two hands, and that's fine. That's fine. The whole point is, whenever somebody is talking about Lean or Six Sigma or process optimization, they're not talking about cutting edge technology. They're not talking about things that don't exist. They're just talking about things which can be applied in a more organized way to achieve a result. Now, that is the way that the PfMP actually helped me in organizing my thoughts. So, while I was, just to give you an example, I had never considered that you had to do a PCI when you were defining a strategy. I never considered that. I never thought that you had to do a scenario analysis. These are things that you know how to do after the fact. But while you're doing it, it's very rare to find people who will do that. What that does is it saves a lot of tears in the end. A lot of tears in the end. So yeah, so that is basically how I was then applying this from the get-go, because I did not have time. So when Tooba and I started talking, my first comment to Tooba was, Tooba, I don't have that much time. So I would like your help in accelerating my preparation so that I am now prepared to give the certification exam as quickly as possible. In this entire thing, I think the longest thing that happened was my application process. If my application had been approved a little bit earlier, I probably would have given the exam earlier. But since it got approved, the day it got approved, I think after that, Tooba, it was what, 6 days? 7 days?
Yeah, so Waqas came to me. Actually, I remember the dates as well. So Waqas came to me on 25th of June, and we started this process on 26th of June, and his application was submitted to PMI on 29th of June, and his application got approved on 29th of July, actually. And the same day he booked his exam for the 6th of August. So he exactly took 40 days for the whole process, like the day he came and the day he was certified, with the effectiveness as well. I mean, there was like a lot of effectiveness involved in this whole process as well, because it was not just to get the credential. That the target was not just to get the credential for him. It was to apply that to all those 3 to 4 initiatives he is into, like in his professional job. So he is a very good example for those who think that when they are new to PMI, things are very difficult. No, they are not difficult. They should be relatable to what you do. They should be relatable. And that is a perfect example for it, Waqas, because he does all of that. It's just that he wants to connect the pieces together. He wants to connect the, I mean, he wants to just put the right piece at the right location in the picture. And that was the only agenda he had with him. Otherwise, he knew everything already. He was into everything already in his professional job. So, Waqas, Waqas, there are many over here who would like to know, how did you do that in 40 days? If they want to do something similar, how can they accelerate their process for PfMP?
Show of hands. Who wants to know how to do this in 40 days? Show of hands.
Everyone would want to do that.
Let's see. No, let's see the hands. I just want to see. That's 2. So only 2 people want to see this.
No, not really. Please raise hands. I get this question very much. Like it's a very frequent question. So Saeed is also saying he's in.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good job, guys. Listen. Now the aim of this, the next few things I'm going to tell you, they are exactly how I did this. And this is not a template for you to follow me exactly. It is a guideline for you to find your own template. Okay. So the first step that I had to do was obviously fill out the application, right? In order to fill out the application, it's a very comprehensive document. Anyone who would be filling it out would take a certain amount of time. I think it took us around a week. Now, why that happens is because you already have a minimum of 15 years of experience under your belt. Yes. And you will already have a minimum of 4 years of portfolio management under your belt in order for you to apply this. The question is not whether you can write this or not. The question is whether you can write it correctly or not. And that is where a good guidance is always useful. If anyone were to ever write something like this, it's always better to take the right guidance from the right person, because it's a very comprehensive document. So that's what took a long time. That was the first part. So while we were doing the documentation and everything, we also started with a little bit of the, also started with the training part with Tooba. Now, Tooba is very good with dates, but all of these things are history for me. So I've sort of moved on. But so what started happening was, when you start reading the standard, that's what I started reading. When you start reading the standard, you will find everything is very familiar to you.
Is the third standard? Is the third or the fourth one?
The third one.
Third.
Exam is still based on.
Why not fourth?
Well, because exam has not been moved to the fourth one. You can read the fourth in your interest if you want to, but exam is still based on third. Exam is based on ECU, and ECU is based on third, actually.
Yeah.
So the fourth one would give you the knowledge of portfolio management, but it's not going to be relevant in the exam.
Okay. Yeah. This portfolio management is having something, include something related to agile, or no?
No agility. It's more about the organizational perspective. No agility.
May I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, my friend.
Imran.
Your name is Imran. Imran, here's a secret for you. You have to decide whether you want to do portfolio management or do you want a certification. You have to decide that. Once you say that you want the certification, then there are a couple of textbooks from which your knowledge will be tested. Fine. That's an aim you have to go with. Otherwise, if separately we want to have a conversation, we can talk about so many other books. so many other knowledge bases which you can also use. See, these days, I think it's also important that we talk about this. When we talk about portfolio management professional certification or being a portfolio manager, both are very different. They're not the same. Now, why are they not the same? Because when you are giving the PfMP exam, you're already a portfolio manager. Okay. But nobody has certified you as one. Now, what does that certification mean? Does it mean that you know how to manage a portfolio? No.
You have the required knowledge and the experience.
No, that's not what I mean. To give the exam, you need to have the right knowledge and experience.
Yes.
As per the PMI's way.
No. This is the truth. What does the certification tell you? The certification says, and you have the skill.
This guy has the skill, knowledge, and the experience.
Yes. And the experience. It adds the skill. In these days, because you have decided to talk in this meeting, but that's fine. That's fine. In this day and age, here is the funny thing about the way of the world that we live in. Knowledge in this world is free. All right. You can learn anything. It's free or practically free. Doesn't cost much either. The one thing which is of true value is skill. And that is what everyone is after. What this badge does is it certifies you as a skilled, knowledgeable person, an experienced person in this. So that is an important thing. So next, when somebody asks me, so how did I clear it so quickly? It's not because I'm very smart. It's just because I had decided on an aim that I wanted to be done with this very quickly because I was engaged in so many things. I didn't have too much time. And B, I also knew that the only thing that I need to develop after reading the standard, after reading the documentation that I saw, was the skill. Now, what is skill as a portfolio manager? You see, when we're in the industry, one of the reasons why they decide to keep the same person in the same authoritative position all the way to the end is because that person knows what the process is. Yes? That person knows where we are in the process, correct? And it would take, you can disagree with me as well, no problem. But that person would know where we are in the process, what has already been done before this, what needs to be done after this, what needs to be done within this. And that is why those people, once they are in these critical operations or these critical portfolio, these critical projects are retained, sometimes at a huge cost. The reason for that is that it would take the new person so much longer to understand where we are and what we need to do. The skill that you will be tested on when you're giving the exam is, here is where you are. What do we do next? Which means, what process are we in? What tool and technique is this? What needs to be the input? What needs to be the output? You should be able to know this. Think of yourself as the ultimate mechanic for the portfolio machine. Yeah. So far, so good. Okay. So why am I saying all of this? Because this is what I experienced in the exam as well. They would tell you, this is happening. What do we do?
As a portfolio manager, what you are going to do? You need to
what
put
are you going to
yourself.
do?
Yeah. You need to put yourself in that position.
Yes, exactly. So instead of you, I mean, the point is, if you are a knowledgeable and experienced person, I can promise you something. Given enough time, you'll be able to figure it out. But a portfolio manager, a PMI certified portfolio management professional will be able to solve it quickly. And that's the skill, right?
And the right way, because portfolio management is doing the right thing in the right manner.
Absolutely.
At the right time.
at the right time, at the right
Yes.
time. So basically, I'm just trying to set the tone so that we all understand over, right? And when you are gaining all of this skill, again, of course, at the back of your mind, there's probably an agenda you want to get certified from PMI. So at that time, please read the right document. That will help. Okay. So using this to move forward. So the first thing I started doing while Tooba used to, I mean, my conversations with Tooba were very animated. I can promise you.
That's why they are classified. I'm not going
they
to
were
share that.
classified as well.
Yeah.
So they were very animated, where we were both sharing different experiences from our working life as well. So, what I would keep on doing was, since I realized very quickly that this is not new, it's a sequence, was that every day while I was having a conversation with Tuba, I would make my mind map and I would keep developing my mind map. I found my favorite tool to be OneNote, because it's an infinite canvas on which I could use my stylus and just go crazy. So that really helped, especially when we're talking about interconnectivity of processes, especially when we're talking about what tool and technique has an output to which process, to which or what outputs does it have. So all of this really helped me. It really helped me. While I was also doing this, I had also started familiarizing myself with the standard as much as I could.
And Waqas,
But that,
would you like to share some of your exam experience as well? Like, how did the exam go for you? Like the overall
Okay.
experience, and what topics did you find like really helpful, and how
Yeah.
did that go? Because that's a very
I know. First of all, let me just give you the disclaimer that God willing, you will also be signing at the beginning of your exam. They will ask that, did anybody tell you about the exam? Were any of these questions shared with you in the exam? Yes or no? No.
yeah.
I just had to say that. And with that said, I can give you a rough idea of what you should be expecting. More or less, the distribution of the questions was, let me see now. It was more or less on the same thing. You would have around 25% thereabout on strategic alignment. You had around, well, let's say 20% on the governance, 25% on performance, around 10 or 10 or 20, 10 or 15% on risk management, and the rest of it was primarily on communication. And when I had this written down a little bit further down, but since Tuba has already asked the question, what keeps on coming out to be the key was that the moment you have enough skill to identify where you are in the process, the rest of the answer becomes very simple to find. The trick that I learned was I had timed myself to spend a certain amount of time per question, at least in the beginning. So I had given myself a target that I should be able to solve a question in 30 seconds average. And of course, that's not for every question, but I had separated this in 50 question marks. So the first 50 questions I should have done in 25 minutes. 100 questions in 50 minutes. 150 questions, 75 minutes. And so on and so forth. What that allowed me to do was that if I didn't know something about market, and move on. Market, move on. Market, move on. I should be on the 25th question by that time. I should not be spending that much time. What that allows you to do is that when you have completed it, gone from the beginning all the way to the end, right? Then you have a lot of time to go back and see what did you miss. And you have so much time that you're so relaxed at that time that you can take a little bit of a stretch break, maybe have a drink of water or something. And when you come back to it, you look at it with a lot fresher eyes. I'll come to the exam part later, but that was the trick that helped me out a lot. And how did I gain this skill? By doing a lot of mocks, timing myself, had to put these on my calendar. You have to consider yourself as the portfolio and then manage yourself accordingly. You have to make sure there are correct times allocated for everything. Those should be marked out as a meeting. Doesn't matter what happens on the planet. In case you have to miss the meeting, you have to then shift it to a later time, but then you owe yourself that time. So think of it as something you have to do.
And
That includes-
Waqas, allow me to tell the audience as well that regarding the calculation related questions, you are pretty good at that, because usually the people take around 5 to 7 minutes on average for, on a single calculation related question. But like Waqas is so good in a calculation related, he just saw the question and like within few seconds he had the answer. I don't know how, but just tell that.
Well, it's okay. Look, no, there's no trick. See, some people are going to be good at the numerical questions. Some people are going to be good at the ITTO. Some people are going to be good at the process. Whatever you're good at, whatever it is, right? Hone your skills so much that you spend the most minimum possible time on those questions and you move on. That's what helped me. Okay, because when you're going back, now you're going to be spending time on these questions again. This is the point where you're now spending time. First time, you're not spending that much time. First time, you're acting on your knowledge, your skill, and your instinct mostly. And that helps, because all of a sudden, once you've gone from the first question all the way to the end, the stress is gone. It's gone now. And now you are completely relaxed and you don't have that many questions to attempt anymore. And you can just quickly go from all the way from the end, all the way to the beginning, go back, do whatever you want now. The moment you're relaxed, that's where you will find a lot of silly mistakes that you may have done as well. You can check them out. And it's perfectly fine at that. But you must make sure you've got time remaining in the end. So I chose 30 seconds. For me, it was more comfortable for me. For somebody, it can be 10 seconds. For somebody, it can be 45 seconds. Doesn't matter. But make sure that whatever you select, you're left with ample time in the end, after you've finished the complete set of questions, to just relax for a little bit and then recheck your answers. So that was very important for me, right? We'll get to the exam part later. We'll get to the exam part. The next thing I would also like to say is that you also need to set a target for yourself. Now, the first time you do a mock, it will be an embarrassment. No joke. And that's absolutely fine.
You're just underestimating yourself. You did.
I'm telling you, the first time, it's an embarrassment. Why? Because you will probably be confused by the wording, and that's okay. That's fine. But you have to be able to finish the first 2 mocks within 1 week. You have to be able to do that. However you do, and that's while doing the mocks, that's while checking all the questions, why they were wrong, checking all the questions, why they were right. In most cases, you will be surprised at the fact that you may have selected the right answer for the wrong reasons. You have to be accurate on the reasons. So we'll come to the mocks in a bit. So when you have done all of this, the first one will be whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. The second one will be closer to the baseline. You have to then start increasing that baseline and set a target for a minimum of 70% that you should be achieving in your mocks. And then you should be left with more than an hour at the end. More than an hour. So however you like it, some people will finish it earlier, some people will finish it later. But this is where you need to be. So whether you need to do, I don't know, like 2 mocks, whether you need to do 100 mocks, everyone's different, and just do it accordingly. But set that target. That target in itself is going to change the way you start approaching problems. And that is what's going to hone your skill. Okay. So skill development is key. Knowledge is not the hard part. It's not at all. It's just a lot of practice. It's just a lot of, for me, it was mind maps. For me, it was making the entire knowledge domain and everything all over again as many times as I could, writing all the process groups, see how they are related, find out which ITTOs go where. It's just practice and practice and practice. For me, I think Tooba, I think we were engaged in the training part for around what, 9 days, 10 days?
We were engaged in the training part for absolutely 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, slightly more than that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, exactly
Okay,
14 days. We did 2-hour session per day, 2 hours, at times 3 hours, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was one-on-one session. So,
Okay.
but we connected every day from the day 1
Yeah.
till day 14. We connected every day.
Yeah. There were actually some days in which I could not connect, and for that I had apologized as well. But but we were in touch, and Tuba was very. Her follow-up is phenomenal, phenomenal. So so the whole point was, I mean, yeah, there's a question over here: was it practice or was it cramming? Think of it this way: when you start doing mathematical problems, think of it as the time when you were doing maths, or think of it as the time when you were doing history, or whatever other subject you would like. When you were doing it, when you were studying for it, there were a couple of facts and a couple of connections that you had to create in your mind. The only way you could have done it is through repetition. So whatever you're comfortable with, as long as you're able to reproduce these things without having to look at your notes, so however time it takes, it will help you. And the point is, again, it's not about the knowledge, it's about the skill, which means you should be able to use minimal information to connect a lot of dots to find yourself within the right process at the right time to decide what you need to do next. That is what you need to do. Okay. And everyone's different. I'm only telling you how I did this. Other than that, the thing that really helped me out initially were the video sessions we were recording. With the sessions the sessions were being recorded. So I used to go through those videos just to revise what was the discussion at that time. And I used to use all of this information and put that into my mind. So every time I would look at my mind map, it would have so much more information in it, which would then be connected in my brain.
High dose of nonsense.
Wow. I don't know how to respond to that, but that's how it is.
I
Anyway.
actually like this comment, high dose of nonsense.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. As long as it's being recorded, I'm very happy. So yes, whatever you said is already there for the rest of the life of this video. The next point was make your own notes. Now you will find a lot of people who will give you a lot of their ideas, a lot of the way they had understood something. It may align with the way you learn things. It may not align with the way you learn things. But whatever works for you, you have to use it, and you have to use it a lot. Okay. All right. Now, the next question I would like to talk about is what was the overall experience? Yeah, I think we also talked about that part. And I guess the one thing that helped me a lot was the fact that I was able to identify the process very well. And that is something that cannot be, there's no shortcut to it. You have to find your own way. You have to. So whatever works for you, please use it. Once you've used it, use it a lot. If somebody says that their brain gets fried while they're doing it, that's absolutely fine. You have to figure out for yourself, do you or do you not want the certification? Or so just figure that part out. If you want it, you have to work for it. Okay.
I think we can respond to the Irfan's question, because he wants to know that with respect to the mocks that you have done, how was the overall difficulty level of the actual exam questions? Of course, we are not going to talk about the questions itself, but like just like medium, low.
Sure. You see, the mocks have a lot of questions which are easy, difficult, medium, whatever. Okay. And this is the way the exam is also, organized. What the mocks will do is they will familiarize you with the way the problems are being stated. So I think doing as many mocks as you can will only help you. But you have to read the standard. There is no other way, no way around it. You have to read it. There were a lot of questions, I can tell you this, which while I was doing mocks were talking about standards, the things from the standard. And there were a number of questions in the exam which also came from the standard or referred to the standard as well. So standard is important. Might help you with not many, but a few questions, maybe like 2 or 3. So the rest of it primarily will go around your ability to identify the process.
And how did you find the training that you took with the on-time training and like the material that we have provided to you for preparation and
It was
like
brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'm just telling you all the tools that I was using. I was using the slides that you shared with me. I was using the videos of the recorded sessions. I was taking whatever we were discussing, putting them in my mind map, trying to figure it out for myself. You may have a different way, but this is my way. So I kept on putting it there. I kept on going back and forth into the standard as well. And then I also was doing the mocks. So all of these things had to be done. Why? Because this was my aim. My aim was to get this done quickly, to get certified quickly, which means I had to build up the skill very, very quickly. If somebody has a different aim, they can choose a different timeline. They can choose a different level of difficulty, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
And yeah, Waqas, there is one more thing that is a very, very frequent question from many people, especially when they come to me inquiring about the PMI and the PfMP and PGMP. And they are new to PMI, like yourself. You were new to PMI as well when you came to me. And you are also we also had that discussion that whether you should be going with PMP or whether you should be doing PfMP or what should be the best thing for you. So what is your advice for those who are qualified enough for portfolio management or who are already doing portfolio management like yourself, maybe without knowing it, but they are still they are doing it and they are not aware of those standardizations or the terminologies or the jargons, the keywords, maybe it's only about that. People at times ask that can we go from can we go just skipping this PMP or PGMP or ACP from the middle and can we just directly land to PfMP? So what's your experience in that? Did you take the right decision after you are done with this? Did you take the right decision of not doing PMP or PGMP and doing directly to PfMP?
Okay. Look, it's very simple. As I said before, the reason why you would want to get a certification like this is because one of the most respected and accredited certification bodies on the planet in the history of mankind is saying you know how to do what you say you are doing and you're skilled at it. So that would depend on the kind of job you're looking at or the kind of work you're looking at putting yourself into. Now, in case you want to apply for a project management role, right, then you should opt for a project management professional certification. If you, and that means maybe you have like 4 years or thereabout, whatever experience they're talking about. Let's say if you have more experience and you want to now grow, you want to grow to a point where you are now handling multiple projects aligned to one place under one program, then you should go for a program management certification. As far as people who are like me or people who had my kind of experiences, let's say they have 15 plus years of experience. Now, for such people, it makes perfect sense that they should then be using their experience to go for a more elite certification. This more elite certification then sets you apart from everyone else who says, yes, I have been doing 4 years of experience. Because this certification says, yes, you've been doing it and you're skilled at it, certified by someone else. generally, if I were to hire somebody who says they're a portfolio manager, I would ask them for references and I would talk to those references if I trust them. But with this certification, it just cuts through a lot. And plus, it gives you that credibility in the market, which is very, very sought after these days. So as far as I am concerned, it helps me out. It helps change my language. It helps in my communication with all the program managers and the project managers. My communication has changed. We use a certain language, which allows us to talk very, very quickly and get to results very quickly. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm very, very happy with myself. I would also like to then point out that portfolio management is for those who are willing to work hard and aim for C-level positions.
Yes.
Okay. It's not for somebody who says, you know what, I just want to keep on doing what I'm doing. Then don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. But if you are somebody with aspirations who wants to grow, who wants to be able to stand in front of multiple shareholders and then define the strategy for them and tell them, hey, man, this is why you should do this. This is why you shouldn't do this. This is how we need to rebalance whatever we've been doing. These are the things we need to reprioritize. If you want to be able to talk like that, then you need skill, of course. You need knowledge, of course. You need experience, of course, but you also need credibility. This is that part which will certify that you have all of these things and you have now that credibility to talk about this. You will find that people will talk to you very differently once they know that you are a portfolio management professional. They talk to you very, very differently. Okay. And I hope that everyone who's going for it also gets to experience all of this. Okay. But again, if you're talking about startups or smaller companies, these people will be the CEOs. This is the kind of mentality that will definitely rise to the C level. When you're talking about larger organizations, then you'd probably be talking about head of some major company vertical. So this is who these people are supposed to be. And I think it's very good that more and more want to experience this, that more and more want to learn about this, learn about the right processes, and it helps. Okay. Now, there was a question that how does the professional market welcome PfMP certified professionals? Now, please do not expect that the moment you've done your PfMP, you'll have people with necklaces and everything standing outside. It's not going to happen. But the moment you put that up on your LinkedIn, see what happens. Just see what happens. Okay. There are less than 2,000. Tooba, correct me. Have they crossed 2,000 globally?
No, it's 1,300 PfMP professional, certified professionals around the globe.
So there are very, very few of us on the planet. And all of a sudden, the world is starting to gain respect for those who are credible enough to then to advise shareholders and major stakeholders on what the strategy should be. They now have started gaining respect for them, and in a very big way. I think it would be very, very interesting to see how you guys experience it, and I would love to hear your experiences later as well. There was another question that was asked, and what advice would I like to give to the new aspirants who are preparing for PfMP? Well, my advice is the same. Think of it in a military form, if you would. If you find somebody with a medal, it does not mean that the person knows how to do this. It means that the person has done it. Okay. So this PfMP badge is the medal that you will get. It will tell the world this is something that you are good at and this is something you're skilled at. So it's only for those who want to do great things. That's what I can tell you. The second thing I would like to say is that if there is somebody who is in the market for a job, I think they would have already experienced that now the recruiters have very little time on their hands to review resumes. I mean, I experienced the same thing. I mean, sometimes I get a lot of resumes and I look at them and I don't have the time to go through all of them, but I do have the time to look at the certifications. That's a thought for you. Okay. So good certifications from good certification bodies will always help you. It will always bring you to the top of the pile. So that's something to think about. The last thing is that if you think about it, it's these days you can't. I mean, there are so many people who say they can do so many things, right? But it's not about what you say you can do. It's about what you can prove. So if you fulfill the criteria, if you've already done the hard work, done all the heavy lifting, you've already been through managing portfolios in various ways and gone through that heartache. So you've already learned a lot. So congratulations. I think it would be a good idea for you to get a medal out of it. So that's all that I had. And I think we're in the last 12, 13 minutes. And it would be great if we can have any questions, if you have any.
We have actually a few questions in the chat. So let me start taking them and one by one. And if you guys have any questions and you would like Waqas to answer, please put that in the chat. And we will talk about that. So we have one question. So there are many comments and few questions. So Muhammad Ali is saying that you are so philosophical that I already know, but now others know as well. So yeah, he is philosophical. And Abid has one question for you. So he's managing projects and portfolios since last 10 years. And he is one of my prospective PfMP mentees as well in the upcoming program. So he feels like to unlearn like all of those challenges like while operating for portfolio management, and he just wants like to have your comment on this, like is he choosing the right thing?
Okay. Is Abid here? Can I ask?
Yeah,
Abid, are you here?
Abid is here.
Abid, can you hear me? If you can unmute. I may be misinterpreting your question. Can you ask it, please, in your own words?
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Basically, I'm handling projects and portfolios since last 10 plus years. My challenge while studying and preparing for portfolio management certification would be that's how it looks like to me, that unlearning would be one of the challenges that I can face during my preparation, because I was handling projects and portfolios without being adept in without learning about the standards.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how, I mean, seriously, you have to be handling all of them, right? And so you have so much experience as well. I would just like to say one thing. Just when you're looking at all the notes and all the standards, just zoom out a little bit and now look back at your own experiences. You might find that they're more or less similar. It was just in a different sequence. You might find it. The moment you find it, you'll find a lot of new neuron connections happening in your brain.
He's going to experience that. He's
Yeah,
coming to my class very soon, and he's going to
very soon.
that.
Yeah. I mean, Tooba is the right person to talk to about this, and you'll be surprised. Absolutely surprised. It's just that we, as I said, from my experiences, what has happened is I was also handling portfolios for quite a long time. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a lot of tears and heartache when you're doing that. Is it not true, Abid?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Because one learns from mistakes. So it's a long journey. So we learned something by doing all that. So it's good to have a certification and know the standards and the basic perspectives of the PMI.
Absolutely. It's very simple for someone with your experience. I can tell you this. You will just be learning, just as I mentioned previously. If somebody has ever done Six Sigma or Lean or whatever, right? It's nothing new. It's just that doing the right thing at the right time, in the right way. for the right reasons.
Thank you. I have actually done basically Six Sigma green belt and green belt
Wonderful.
project and black belt projects as well. Because
There we go.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that I will be able to do that.
I mean, look, if you and I were ever to talk about the DMAC strategy, right? I mean, what
Yeah,
kind of rocket science is it? There is no rocket science in it. It's the same thing that we do. We just like to do it in the right way. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question, Abid.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
Okay, so in the interest of time, let's move to the other question. So Muhammad Ali has asked you, Waqas, which industry you work in?
Yes, I have worked in multiple industries. So I started my career in construction, then I went into fertilizer, then I went into power, then I went into food, then I went into power and energy again. And now I am also working in power. So yeah, I mean, it's basically something that's in me. So I'm primarily from the manufacturing industry. I am very used to working with complicated systems and processes. So as Abid, I am very confident, Abid, that since you also sound like somebody who's been put through the same grind, so you're going to enjoy this. You'll enjoy this.
Okay, then there was another question by Muhammad Ali that I think we have already answered about the mock exams and the practice, like it was, would it be practice or would it be cramming? So we have talked about that. Then
Yeah.
Irfan was interested to know the overall difficulty level compared to the mocks. And I think we have talked about that, but would you like to talk more about it?
Yeah. Look, guys, the whole point is the mocks are not representative of the questions you get in the exam. Okay, let me say that right now. Okay, but they are going to train your brain to find answers to difficult questions as well. Things which are not very easy to find. You're going to find that this is going to help you a lot. So do as many mocks as you feel are necessary. And when you've done all the ones that are necessary, do one more.
So if I ask this differently, the mocks that we have suggested you, did you do anything other than that? Because Irfan is one of my students and he's actively preparing for his PfMP. So he's going to appear in the exam very soon. So did you do anything other than what I recommended to you?
No, I did not need to. And I don't think anyone with experience in portfolio management historically will need to either. It's there is a way to do a mock, and then there's a way to do the mock right. Now, the way to do a mock is you just look at the question and you look at the answer. The way to do it right is you set a timer, you set a time in a day, you prepare for it like it's an actual exam. You attempt it from the beginning all the way to the end. Write down all the answers that you thought were right, and then check them. And then whatever answers you got incorrect, you write the correct answer and the reasoning behind the correct answer. All of this entire activity, if you were to do it properly, is going to take you between 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so you'll have to set that time aside. But that is the only right way to do a mock. Otherwise, there are so many people who say, yeah, I have been doing mocks, as in I was walking around, I was in the car and I did 2 and I did 5. That really wouldn't help you. You need to develop a skill to complete the questions in a way that by the end of it, you are left with at least 1 hour. 1 hour. So yeah. So that is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But only the mocks that Tooba or Tooba has recommended that more than
maybe this is something he wanted to know because he's about to appear in the exam in few days.
Oh wow!
He is
good luck.
Good luck. Like he would want to know that. Yeah, and I think we are almost on time. So the last question that I would like to you, Waqas, is: would you recommend our training program and our mentoring sessions to those who are aspiring for PfMP? That's the last.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
And why?
I mean, let me tell you why. It's as I said before, knowledge is free, right? Knowledge is free. Put that aside. The way Tooba handled the entire thing was that she would, since I had shared my goals with her, very directly. I said, okay, these are my goals. This is the timeline. This is the time I've set aside for all of this. Then she and I became in sync. And then we started changing the way the whole thing was done in order for me to achieve my goals. And I found that to be so supportive. Furthermore, the way that she burnt the word ICESPB on my brain, it really helped. It really helped. So I think that with this kind of mentorship, this kind of follow-up, this kind of support material, and this kind of ability to then discuss that, okay, these were the mocks that I was doing, and these are the questions I got wrong, but I didn't really quite understand them. And then getting a very real feedback, almost in no time at all. That was something I was impressed with, and was a huge support to me. It was. So I would recommend Tooba and Ontime with my eyes closed.
Thank
I
you
think
very
so.
much, Waqas, and thank you very much for joining us. And I know I personally don't know how busy you are as a person, as a professional, and like out of your busy schedule, you took out time for us, for sharing your experience with the audience. And I'm sure the audience must have enjoyed this conversation and must have taken their notes for a later reference. So all of you who are interested in exploring our program, I have shared the details over the chat. And if you're interested, please do reach out to me, and we will share the details, the further details with you in person. Thank you very much for joining. We are already on time. If there are no more questions, we are ready to wind up this session. And I am very grateful to all of you to join us. I know it's weekday, everybody is busy in their work, in their professional lives. And in that, if you were able to take out the time, this is definitely showing that you are interested in exploring PfMP, and you are interested in knowing the others' experiences to maybe map to yours as well going forward. So just take the right decision for you, because portfolio management is about doing the right thing at the right time. So if you think it's the right time for you, go for it without giving it that second thought. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care. And
Thank you, everyone.
I will see you again. Thank you, Waqas. Thank you, all of you. Bye. Take care.